Buongiorno, buonasera, benvenuti amici, welcome my friends. My name is Vincenzo and welcome to my channel, and that channel is Fountain Pen Therapy. Another weekly recap, folks. It was an awful week, so I was really looking forward to doing this. It's Friday morning, early, like I usually do. Wake up nice and early. It's 4:30 a.m. and I've got my cappuccino nice and hot, and I couldn't sleep. I needed to do this. This is my therapy, folks. Awful week at the office. Just, one of those weeks where you're working and you just don't get done. It doesn't get done. You're not executing. It's just not happening, And I won't go to the details, but not because you're not working hard. It's just not productive. You still don't have the results. Maybe the results will come. And then we had an awful weather. Just the last couple of days, we've had freezing rain, hail. I mean, the car became one piece of ice. Just to de-ice the windows took me about an hour. It's just ridiculous. It's slippery everywhere. Now I think we're going to get lots of snow. And the unfortunate part was that just a few days earlier, the snow was starting to melt, starting to see the grass reappear. I'm thinking golf, and all of a sudden, boom. And I know this is not good for the greens at the golf course. Hopefully they were not exposed too much, because from what I understand, this dramatic change in temperature, I mean, we had beautiful weather. It was like 16 degrees and then boom, freezing rain. So awful week, but my therapy is coming. And so without any further ado, we've got lots of stuff for you. Fountain Pen Therapy presents and wants to present this weekly recap for March the 15th, 2026. Okay, the first segment, what's new in the market? Well, I think the highlight of my week, anyway, was that I stumbled upon, I think it was an Instagram ad from Lotus Pens, and announcing the Yowo number 8 steel nib. Steel. I know there's the gold nib, which cost a fortune. You can get that on FP Nibs or FP Nibs, I think it's called. But I didn't see lately, anyway. I checked just a few days ago. It might be there now, but there was no Yowo number 8 steel nib. That, to me, folks, could make the difference between buying these Yowo nibbed pens and not buying them. If I'm bored with number 6 Yowo nibs, I'm not sure I'm going to be as bored with number 8 Yowo nibs, at least not for a while. So that to me is major news. Now, I've tried to find them. If you guys know where I can get a pen or I can get nibbage at number 8 steel Yowo, let me know. So I saw the ad for Lotus. I saw that Peyton Street answered or made a comment. I'm going to get a bunch of those so I can make them offer them with some of the number 8 sized sections of some of the nibs. I know that Lotus may do some of those. I know the Ranga has some of those. So when you buy a Ranga pen, you can choose your nibs, and some of them, and you could choose them in number 8 sized, and they came with the Bach titanium section. But that's a fortune, that Bach titanium. So that's good news. There was also Jonathan Weinberg had a video where he reviews the Baltimore pen show, and he visited one of the independent pen makers. I forget the name. And he mentioned the new number 8 Yowo steel nib, and he took out this beautiful pen. I wish I had it handy here. I wrote a message to that pen maker on his website to say, well, where's the pen? Where can I buy that pen? And I haven't received an answer yet. There's also this, let me just show you. I'm going to switch to my computer. This is a site, I think is an independent pen maker, Rice, R-H-Y-S, Rice Pieces. He sells all kinds of stuff, including pens. And look at that, Yowo number 8 nib unit, 139 Canadian. Mind you, at 139, they're almost as expensive as the Bach titanium. But and he says you can't buy the nib, you've got to buy with the pen. Then I try to find a pen that has it, and he doesn't have any. So I'm going to write to, maybe I've already written to him actually, and find out, well, okay, but where's your number 8 size pens? And I'm going to order one just to see the nib. In any event, so that to me is major news. What else have I got for you? For AliExpress, I mentioned this pen maker that seems to really have come onto the scene, Balaoye, B-A-L-A-O-Y-E, is offering all these pens. Some of them are less expensive, some of them are really expensive. For example, this Balaoye doesn't give it a name, but it has that Full and Flex that we're going to take a look at in a few minutes, that I've reviewed. The body looks like a Jinao 82 or kind of a Pro Gear knockoff. It talks about 0.5 or 1.0 long knife calligraphy pens that you can get in all these flex nib sizes, so fine, medium, broad, and 1.2. So I find this interesting. There's the nib. Where is it? There's the nib. He's got this 3 stack nibs, Balaoye. Look at this. What a monster. 3 layered nibs. Then he's got, where is it? He's got a pen like this for $27.58. Oh, take a look at this one. Where is it? Yeah. I mean, it's all steel silver, but it's bamboo shaped. $73 with a medium nib. Looks like just a plain generic nib. Comes in either a gold finish or a silver finish, which I thought was very interesting. Then he's got some very expensive pens like, where is it? Well, he's got this number 8 titanium, all titanium pen. He's got, I say he, this is, again, various offerings, kind of a Pro Gear look. Some of them are round, shaped. Some of them are flat top shaped. And it comes with that Full Flex nib, I believe. Yeah, there it is. Flex nib, and that's that Full Flex nib that I've reviewed. So I think we should start paying attention, because there's a lot. And then you got this $975 pen, which is kind of a, lacquered finish with all kinds of ebonite. He's got a less expensive one here. Take a look at this. I mean, some gorgeous pens at $366. I think, again, this one comes with a German Bock nib, but some really nice pens. So, he's got pens that look like basically duofold lookalikes. And in some cases, I think they basically take the Jinao pens and turn them into something a little more special with that nib. Now, does it justify an $81 price tag? I'm not sure. But take a look at it. There might be stuff in here that might suit your fancy. Take a look at this one. Lacquered pens, $390. Long knife and double long knife. So, some time ago, let me just cut. I remember introducing AdMock. I think I was one of the first reviewers to publish a review on an AdMock. It was the AdMock M800. And then it took off like gangbusters. So this Balaoy could be another AdMock. Now, AdMock has limited offerings, but still, it's attracted some attention, especially that Pelican M800, M400 lookalike. Now they've come out with the 766, the 754. Stay tuned for that, by the way. I've reviewed the 766, which is basically, I would say to you, an Asvine V126 lookalike. And the 754, stay tuned for that, is a lookalike of another, of the P20 from Asvine. So, AdMock is there now. And this Balaoy could be something to look out for. But I thought I'd mention that. There's really not much else in some of the other reviewers. I did want to review for you. I have two paper offerings that I wanted to discuss. Let me just cut back. First of all, Danica58.com is one of my favorite notebook providers. Mentioned her many times. I say her because it's Danica. So I'm assuming it's a feminine sounding name, but I could be wrong. What I noticed is that she has machine number 7 Tomoe River paper. And I think it was one of the viewers that told me, by the way, check Danica 58. He's got the original paper. There it is, and I've ordered some, by the way. So it's on its way. But if you're interested in buying the rare Vault stock, machine number 7, Tomoe River paper, in either A5 or B5 at $24. Now, this is a very thin, I don't know how many pages, 128 pages, so it's a very thin notebook. But if you want to see why I'm raving about this paper, there you have it. She may also have loose sheets. Take a look. And she has number 9 machine. She has all kinds of other notebooks. In fact, some of which are runners-up or form part of my list of alternatives that I've reviewed for you. So Danica 58, again, makes the news, so to speak. Then I discovered this not because I should have known about it, I guess. Whoa, what happened here? Let me just go back. Yeah, they're called, it's a company by the name of Hemlock and Oak, Canadian, from what I understand. And they make planners. This thing keeps popping up on me. Let me just go back here. And they also make notebooks, journals, and they have one offering, which I've ordered, which is this one. It's a 70 GSM, so a little bit thicker than what I'm used to, but apparently great paper, and good alternative to Obonichi, good alternative to Tomoe River. Again, it's asking me for a 10% discount, but all to say is that I've ordered some of that paper. So we'll see. Well, that notebook, I've ordered it in its cheapest format. Should be coming soon. It's Canadian, so I don't have to pay all kinds of excise and all kinds of tariffs and all the rest of it. And I'll let you know. Maybe it will form part of my alternative list. We'll see. We shall see. So far, got to tell you that Sterling ink Koji paper. Looking good, looking good. But I have some more paper to propose for you in this recap, so stay tuned. Maybe this one will be a winner as well. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with the next segment. Actually, I forgot the most important one in terms of market news. Take a look at the video from Penn Venture where he's interviewing Ben Walsh of Gravitas. Apparently, they're in the process of launching some really exciting products. They have a new pen in there. They've got this really interesting new nib that they're proposing. And they got other stuff. Take a look at it. Really exciting. I don't know what their timeline is like. I'm really looking forward to it. So that Gravitas Penn Venture video, I recommend it. There's some news there, newsworthy stuff. And I mean, it's not for the immediate future, but it is. So I'm going to keep looking for it. It's excited. They've come out with some very, very nice projects, and I wish them all the best. So Penn Venture, Gravitas, Ben Walsh combination, very, very nice. Of course, it's going to be one of my videos that I'm going to recommend later on in the YouTube review section. So forget about that one. Now we're going to go to the next segment. Be right back. Okay, so we're back, and we're going to first take a look at more paper. Again, for those of you who just joined my recap, I'm challenging myself to find the best alternative to Tomo River paper, the original paper that came out of machine number 7. We have, over the last several weeks in the new year, gone through several notebooks and different types of paper. I've done some swatching in them. I've done some preliminary testing and writing. And we're going to compile all of that information. And we're going to do one video where we're going to combine them all and declare a winner. And for this week, I've got Life. I think most of you must have heard of Life notebooks. I've got three to propose to you, 2 of which really have the same paper. This Life Clyde and the Life Noble Note, from what I understand, both have the same, what they refer to as L writing paper, I guess Life writing paper. So these are similar, and we're going to do some swatching with this. Actually, this is yellow, this is white. Maybe we'll do the white. It won't it kind of mislead us on the color of the inks. This margin, from what I understand, the paper is a little bit different, and maybe we'll do a separate review of this margin paper at some point in time. So we'll remove that from the picture. This one here is what you see regularly, except that it does have this kind of yellowish paper, and it's going to, I believe, kind of not give you the right color of the inks. So we're going to put that one aside, although this is probably the one that's most popular. And I think different colors, depending on what kind of a grid you're using, lined, dotted, or graph. So we'll use this Life Clade because it does have some white paper, or at least just slightly ivory as opposed to yellow paper. We're going to swatch it up against Tomo River paper, okay, as we usually do. What we'll do is we'll put Tomo River here so it holds down nicely the notebook. Now, for the inks, what have I got for you? Well, here are 6 different inks that I just got from Van Diemen's, my favorite ink maker from Australia. And you can get 10% off using my code in the description. These are the 6 inks that I got. They were on special. So these are not in any particular order, or these are not the most recent ones. They were on sale. I didn't have them in my collection, so I figured, why not? I think they went for like something like $19 Canadian, or was it 19 Australian? I forget. Anyway, for 40 milliliters, great deal. These 3 we'll do next week, so we'll put those aside right away. And these are the 3 that we're going to do this week. We've got this Night from the Night collection, Aurora Australis. Beautiful, kind of purplish green sort of a proposition. We got Van Diemen's Greek Heroes collection, and this is the Leonidas or Leonidas. And then we have from the Underwater collection, we have Blue Ringed Octopus. So these are the 3 inks that we will be swatching. Now these inks, I think, maybe apart from the Leonidas, are probably all very nice sheening inks. So the red one, I'm not sure. The Leonidas from the Greek Heroes collection, that may be a little more standard. But the other 2, Anyway, just from the looks, they look like great sheening inks. Okay, so why don't we, actually, we'll put that a little higher up so we can catch all 3 properly. Again, Life, Tomo River. Okay, we're all set. Use my folded pen to do the swatching, and my dip pen from, I never remember, Okoro or Ikoro. Anyway, Sailor dip pen. Okay, let's start with Blue Ringed Octopus. Now, these can make a real mess if they're sheening inks, so I got to be careful. That's one. Wow. That's a really nice blue, folks. Just a gorgeous blue. I know what pen I'm going to put this ink in. I can tell you right now. But stay tuned. I've got a perfect pen for that. Okay, so first one is Van Diemen's Blue Ringed, and as I write and the ink dries, I can see the red sheen. Okay, so Van Diemen's. Whoop, just a little bit. Wow, this Life paper is really nice. Very slippery. I think it's got a little coating on it, but very nice, very smooth. Let me just, wow. This ink really needs to be washed properly. Otherwise, we're in big trouble. Okay, there we go. So that's that one. That's a nice blue. Let's do Leonidas or Leonidas. Can't pronounce it. And I know some of you will say, what's the matter with you, Vincent? You can't pronounce the names. It represents this god, that god. Forgive me, okay? Wow. Nice. Reddish ink. Really nice. And wouldn't say like oxblood, but just a deep, deep red. And you know the Italians, we have a fascination for red ink because of Ferrari, or maybe an obsession more than a fascination. So anything that looks like Ferrari is great. Van Diemen's. Yeah. Oh, this could be my favorite red ink. Leon IDS. Wow, what's wrong here with this dip pen? It's a bit too much ink. I think I'm pressing on it a little too much. Okay, there we go. Let's wash that out nicely. That red is just a gorgeous red. And this one is the Aurora Australis. So let's dip pen. Be careful with the dipping. So this is Van Diemen's. What's wrong with this dip pen? May have to wash it thoroughly. And this is, I don't want to get it wrong. Where is it now? Aurora. Maybe a diamine ink that resembles this one with a kind of a similar name, if I'm not mistaken, but I could be wrong. I have so many inks right now that I could be mixing them all up, and I'm not good at names, so I can't remember the names. I can't remember just a few minutes later, imagine months later. There you have it. We're going to let these beautiful inks dry, and we're going to come back and just see how the paper is taking it in. Be right back. Okay, so we're back with the inks. They're nice and dry. I would say to you that on this life paper, the ink is a little flatter, just slightly, but let me tell you, the sheen has certainly come out. Do you like that blue-ringed octopus? Very, very nice, and I've got a beautiful pen to take that ink up, let me tell you. The red is kind of flattish here on the, there is some gold sheening. I see it even more on the writing than on the paper. I don't know if you could see that. I think I need to turn it this way and you can see some of the sheen. Look at that. So the sheen comes out. It's been, even with the Aurora Australis, you see the green sheen on that purple ink. A little bit less on the red. A lot more on the Tomoe River. You can see the sheen lines, the red gold lines on that red ink. And the Aurora also is kind of more spread out as opposed to being clumpy. In terms of how it looks on the other side, it is a thicker paper than the 52 GSM or GMS, or is it GSM? Forget. Grams per square should be GMS. 52 on the Tomoe River handles it very, very well. I would probably venture to say even better than Tomoe River. But for, kind of sheening inks, they kind of behaved fairly well, I would say to you, which is good news. Good news. So there you have the inks. What we're going to do is we're going to do some writing on this life paper. So we'll take a look at the pen haul and be right back. Okay, so let's take a look at the pen haul for this week. I got to pace myself, so there's a lot of pens that have come in, but I don't want to show them to you all at the same time. one, we don't have the time, and two, I got to pace myself. So first thing, this is a pen we've already seen. We've all know what this is. But let me tell you, what a beautiful, beautiful resin. This is the Asvine V800. And I don't know if you've noticed, but I think a lot of people are starting, or a lot of reviewers are starting to notice and take cognizance of this beautiful, beautiful Asvine offering with that number 8 steel nib. Let me tell you, folks, I've even got Hemingway Jones, who in the last year or so has kind of ignored Chinese pens, or put it this way, it hasn't been really on his radar. And he also reviewed an Asvine V800 in his weekly live show. Good for you, Hemingway. I think, and several others have just kind of discovered the pen. We've been at it for a while, you and I. But let me tell you, look at this Galaxy color. It rivals any other blue Galaxy pen that I have. Let's take a look at that. I may have them all not too far away because I'm planning another video. This is the original in that Galaxy color, I think, which is the Moonman, what is it, M600S or 800S or 800 or 600. Very nice. Then I have the Admoc. No, this is the 7. Yeah, this is a brand new one that we'll see soon. The 757, I think it is. And then, of course, we've got the Asvine P20. So all very beautiful Galaxy. But this V800 is what's come in this week. I figured given there's not much out there, I might complete my sets of all these beautiful pens and get all the colors just a bit at a time, especially if I see the price going down. My favorite nib on this V800 is the 1.1 stub. It doesn't really write like a big stub. It more like a nice, just a slightly stubbed broad nib, I would say to you. Very, very nice. We've got that beautiful ink in here that we just saw from Van Diemen's. We'll test that in just a few minutes. So that's the first thing. Second, this has come in. The Hongdian M2, but in this titanium finish. M2 written right there. Just beautiful. Let me tell you, folks. I've prepared a video for you guys, kind of looking over Hongdian pocket pens, comparing them. So that's probably going to go out next week. I would say to you, I believe. We'll see. So that's another nice one that's come in. And what else? In terms of pencils, I got a pencil. The box is a little beat up. 0.05 lead. I was very attracted by the way it looked. I haven't opened the box, so let's just tear the box open here. Just an awful unboxer. But I was very much attracted to the look of this pencil, I should say. I'm going to take a closer look at it. Nice springy clip there. And I guess, I see. The nib comes out. Oh, it's not a pencil. It's a roller ball. Wow, that is nice. That is really nice. And it came with gel link rollerball 0.05. So I bought 3 of them. Because when you buy these things, you never know whether or not they're proprietary or whether or not you can fit in others. I'm not familiar with this mark. It appears to be Chinese or from the Asian market, but I really, really liked the way this little guy feels and looks. So this top, and it wasn't all that expensive. So, oh, I got to put it this way, I guess. So there you have it. That's the pen haul for this week, folks. So what we're going to do is, I'm not going to ink this up because I'm going to wait for my review, but I'm telling you, this is already inked up, and it's a beauty. We'll do some writing with that as well. And stay tuned for my next segment. Be right back. Okay, so we've taken a look at the pen haul. What I propose is that we're going to do some writing with those new pens. And at the same time, actually, I got 3 pens inked with each of these inks. And we can kind of do some writing with each of these inks, and just to see how they behave with a actual fountain pen. So let me just here get a closer look here. Yeah, I put the blue ringed octopus in here. So let's see how it looks. So this is the what a beautiful pen, folks. The Asvine V800. It's got a number 8 steel. Let's just see if Bach mentioned the Bach number 8 nibs are as good as these. 1.1 stub. And the ink is the Van Diemen's. Blue ringed octopus. Look at that red sheen. Just beautiful. I'm going to show it to you because you need to be a little more on the left side with your vision to see it. So when I finish writing here, I'm going to turn the notebook just a little bit so you can appreciate the sheen. I'm sure you'll be able to see it. See that? Yeah. I mean, look at that. Just a beautiful red and blue. Really, really nice. The ink writes really nicely. There's no feathering on this paper. It's thicker. Very little ghosting. It's nice and smooth. Certainly fountain pen friendly. Could be expensive, this life, depending on where you get it, but you can get it readily available, I think, on even on Amazon. So that's very, very nice. Now, let me just pull out the pens that I inked with the. Yeah, I wanted to revisit this pen. So at the same time, just because we kind of mentioned the new pens that might be coming out from Gravitas that have this kind of idea, with a little bit like the Monster, with that big writing or big ink capacity, although this is shorter. It ends right here because it is a spring push mechanism, so it doesn't go all the way up. What I don't like about this pen, and like a lot of aluminum pens and metal pens, is this section. I did replace the nib because the Moon Man ink nib that was on this was awful. This is very slippery, but and this is the C. Let me just make sure I get it right. No, wrong letter. It's the Moonman T2. So this is really slippery. A little too slippery for me. But that red ink is really nice. So this is the Moonman T2. And it has a Yowo broad number 6 steel nib. Writes nicely once you get going and get used to that section. And this is the Van Diemen's Leonidas. Very nice. what I find with this grid is that if the ink is a little opaque or a little transparent, you can actually see the squares of the paper underneath the ink. I think you see it a little bit in the swatch, just there. But very nice ink. Beautiful red. Just a beautiful red. This has got to be one of my favorite red inks. And the other one I put in, where is it now? I know I filled another pen. Just bear with me. Here it is. The other ink I filled in this because I thought it'd go well with this, the way they've, modified the titanium on this pen. This is the Asvine V200 with a Asvine medium number 6 steel, and the ink is the Van Diemen's Aurora Got to tell you, I'm very happy with this paper. Very nice. It's a bit too thick for my... If it's going to replace completely Tomoe River. I like the thick, thin, crispy sound of Tomoe River. Some people hate it precisely for that reason. Again, if you look at the sheening in that ink, really comes out. I really did it, didn't I? I've chosen 3 beautiful ink, folks. Boy, are you guys lucky. And I guess we could add to that just to see how this thing writes. So this is called the Top P Midnight, I guess. Midnight rollerball. And it's a 0.5, so it's fairly fine. Writes nice and smooth. So it's a pocket. This may very well be my first pocket rollerball. Believe it or not. Yeah, there you go. So these are the pens and the inks being highlighted on Fountain Pen Therapy. Stay tuned for that one next week. Be right back. Okay, Pens Revisited. What have I got? Well, let's revisit the pens that we reviewed last week, which is this Diplomat Nexus. It wasn't unanimous. I can tell you that. Some people, unfortunately, have had some bad experiences with quality control of the nibs, especially on some of these Diplomat pens. I've had actually quite the opposite. I find that these nibs are just really, really nice. That section is still, a question mark. So this is the Diplomat Now, I haven't written with it recently, black, so I'm glad the nib is still wet. it's still wet. And there's no false start here, so there's really no dry nib issue that I can see, at least after a week. That filling system is unique, but some of you said it's not unique enough, and also the way it shuts down here. It's not unique enough to justify the price, and this is the steel nib. Because if you get it in the gold nib, it's even more expensive. I think it's a nice big pen. If that section was made of anything else other than this pure metal, it would be a real winner in my estimation. When I write with it right now, I have a tendency to hold it up a little higher, just because it's slippery, and if I catch it right here, my fingers are kind of a little more stable, which is unfortunate. It's still a very nice pen, and I still think it needed to be part of my collection. So there you have it, the Nexus. Next, well, in terms of pen that we visited, we've got this Rhodia. We'll see how I haven't written with it, so it wrote really nice. It's made in Japan. I suspect that it shouldn't have a dry nib issue, but we shall see. Here again, a very thin section. So this is the Rhodia script. So far, so good. This is the Rhodia script fountain pen. It has a generic broad nib. I don't know who makes these nibs. Very smooth. So I'm glad. This is a type of pen you can put in a pen sleeve, not a sleeve, but a kind of a pen holder attached to your notebook. Let me just see if I can pull one out to show what I mean. Something like this that, oftentimes just needs a thinner pen and not a thick pen. So you can see it fits in nicely. Whereas a thicker pen wouldn't fit. So there you have it. Fits really, really nice. And, smaller leather pen holes or pen holders, if you will. So that's right, swell. The Gravitas video that I mentioned right off the outset, and that's going to make my YouTube review as well, is this pen. So I figured I'd revisit my monster. Looking forward to what else they've got in mind. So this is the Gravitas. Whoa, not writing because it's closed right here. I should have opened it up. So you know what? We're going to give it some time to just see how quickly. Put that aside. The other pen I wanted to revisit, because of the Baloy using this nib, this Fullen flex nib. I haven't written with this pen since I reviewed it. Let's see if it still writes. Not bad. People have said it's a Bach nib with that little, with probably a bigger slit and that, piece of metal at the top of it. And I've seen that nib in that Baloy offerings, or some of them. So there could be a relationship between the two. So I figured I'd revisit this. Still a nice writing instrument. And now I'm wondering whether or not I should get that acrylic one, with that nib. Question mark. We shall see. There's more and more offerings from that company, or that brand. that I've never heard of until this year. Then, of course, that red ink that we just had, the Leonardis from Van Diemen's, when I saw that ink, this is the pen that came to mind. So I figured I inked it up with that ink. This is the Jinhao. Whoop. Okay, here we go. Oh my God, I forgot what it's called. 1935. Oh, it's skipping a little bit. I didn't wash the nib. I'm going to put red guitar so we know what we're talking about. And it had a red ink in it. So there was probably some red ink in that feed. And it, to be fair, it had to be cleaned out, and I didn't. I figured just dipping it in and re-inking it would be enough. But as you see, as I write with the pen, the nib is beautiful. There's no issues there. The ink had completely dried out. I should have cleaned it out, but I didn't. Probably had in there this other favorite ink of mine, Yamamoto, because I can see that the red is slightly pinkish, more pinkish than it is in the other one, probably because of the leftover ink that was in there. So that's the other pen that I wanted to revisit. The next pen is I fall in love with this Vizier Checkmate 2.0 in this very, very handcrafted or engraved, I guess, aluminum pen with that gorgeous, gorgeous nib. And I have this beside me on my desk all week. So this is the Vizier, and I'm just glad he keeps writing. Some of their pens, sometimes, especially the one, at least the less expensive ones, have a tendency to dry up on you. So this is the 2.0 in the aluminum finish. Notice that the pen, there's a little bit of, let me show you what it is. It's kind of a slippery, it's like the ink does not penetrating the paper. I don't know if you could see that. Can you see that there? You got little glitches which correspond to the line of the paper. It's not feathering. It's just kind of, when you write, it kind of skips where the lines are, and you can actually feel it when you're writing with some of the inks. I had the same feeling here as well, just because it may be a little too coated, so that it's like the ink is not penetrating. Didn't have problems with those other inks, because those other inks, I can tell you, are they're very intense, so to speak. So this one's kind of a little bit, just it's having difficulty penetrating the paper. Let's put it this way. So those are the pens revisited for this week, folks. Been enjoying those pens, and we're going to keep enjoying them. There you have it. We're just gonna put that for my B-roll. There you go. Hope you enjoyed that. Stay tuned for my next segment. Okay, so we're back for the next segment, and before we visit what my weapons are going to be for next week, I wanted to show you an accessory that I added to my studio, and that I was always curious about, and I finally got it, and that is what they refer to as a writing mat. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. So what I propose is I'm going to go to my overhead camera and show you what I've purchased. Okay. This is a writing mat, kind of plasticky, that came with my Taroko Design Tomo River paper notebook that I've learn to use as really, for the guidelines, for the lines underneath plain paper, for example, because I have a tendency to just, not write straight. So I either have to be guided by dots, grids, or lines. But if I do have plain paper, and I have some beautiful Tomoe River paper original, number 7 machine notebooks that are plain paper. So typically I would use this type of thing for it. But there are other uses for these mats, I understood. I've ordered 2 more. They are from, I think they're probably the best in the market, by Kiwami, from what I understand. I've ordered these from Japan. I've ordered 2 of them. The first one, this was a lot, it's bendable. It's almost rubberish, as opposed to this. This is kind of more plasticky. And the blue one is a lot thicker. So I got one that's thin and one that's thicker. And I understand that they're used for, it kind of provides a kind of a cushion for your writing, which is supposed to lead to some smoother writing experience. You can also use it as a protection. So in other words, if you're using, for example, a very fine nib with thin paper, you don't want the nib to indent into the next page. So you can use that. Stability, because if you have for example, just loose sheets, and you don't want the loose sheets to move around, well, it kind of grab hold, if you will, and the paper will stay firmly in place. And the last, and that's really what surprised me. I don't know if you've had the experience, but let me just show you an example. Okay, I think with this one, I think we can show the example even more. This is my 5-year journal, okay? What I find with the 5-year, and I'll get a page where I haven't written anything in it, so that, here we go. Because it's so thick, okay, when I get to the end, you kind of don't have the footing, if you will, to keep writing properly. These mats apparently provide that kind of transition for you, so you're able to write, which I found interesting. And I've often, when I'm journaling, I often get to the bottom of the page and I kind of skip the last 4 or 5 lines just because it's very awkward to write on. But now that I have these mats, I'm going to use the mats. Now, what I thought I'd do, given that we're going to do some writing with my weapons for next week, I thought I'd test these mats and just to see how they feel, and whether in fact they do enhance the writing experience, or do I prefer to write just on the paper as is, So we'll put those aside for now, and we'll experiment with that in a second. Now, for the weapons for next week, I always try to find some inspiration to allow me to choose a series of pens. And I know at one point I decided I would only choose 6, and then I varied to 10, and then I go to 12. It all depends on my mood. So I apologize if I'm not consistent in that regard. But I'm just giving you more therapy. The more the pens, the better it is. And it doesn't mean I get to use them, frankly. If I put 12 pens in my pen case, oftentimes I don't get to use all of the 12. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I do. Sometimes I end up using quite a few. Sometimes I end up using 1 or 2 and I just don't like them. I don't like, for some reason that morning, they're not writing properly, or it's just not doing my thing. Well, I'll switch out. And having 12 gives me that, it's like a security blanket, if you will, for fountain pen fanatics like me. So try to find a theme. And, I was really, I guess inspired is not the right word, but I was really intrigued by that video by Penn Venture and Ben Walsh of Gravitas, where they're looking at all these new technology, new pens, and a lot of them are these transparent or these demonstrator pens, like the Monster, for example, that have that big barrel of transparent acrylic, and this whole demonstrator pen. People are not used to fountain pens like us. Often ask me, what is that? Why is your pen transparent? I mean, you can see it through it, And the whole thing started, I think, as demonstrators, right? Pen makers wanted a demonstrator pen to show mechanisms, to show how it works and the interior. And then these demonstrators took on life of their own, from what I understand. So that's going to be the theme for this week. I thought I'd pull out a series of all my favorite demonstrator pens and kind of show them to you, and then from there make a choice for my weapons of next week. Okay? So we're going to go to my overhead camera and I'll show you the pens that I've gathered. Okay, so we're back. Here is, I would say, most of the clear demonstrators that I have in my collection. It excludes the ones that have a little bit like this one that has, a metal or an acrylic cap and just a demonstrator body. Even though this is the pen that kind of inspired this, if you will. So this one's for sure I'm choosing. And I did want to see whether or not by opening it, I put it aside and I can tell you within seconds that this pen was writing. So spoilers alert, the Monster will make the list for the week. But here's the rest. Okay, let me just go through that. First of all, this is the Moonman C1. This thing is just a beautiful, beautiful writer because it doesn't leak. It seals almost perfectly. And when I pick it up, it writes. You've got huge reservoir of ink. It's a simple, eyedropper. There's no mechanism there. Very comfortable. I've replaced the nib with a Osprey, supposed to be kind of a flexi nib that I purchased from Osprey. So that is the C1. Next on the list is this N2. Very similar, Moonman N2. Doesn't leak. Just a barrel, fill it up, and it writes. It's got this old style Moonman number 5 nib that kind of writes like a Schmidt nib. So that's the Moonman N2. And then I have a similar pen, which is the S5. Again, tiny little nib that just writes really nicely. No mechanism, fill the barrel, and you're all set. So this is from the Moonman collection, before it became known as Majon. Of course, you have my test tube pen that everybody hates and that I love. I think it's just, by the way, a Diplomat has a similar pen, if you're wondering. So they're not the only ones. The other thing is we're going to be taking a look at a few pens from Majon that have this little clip, and people have always wondered, what the hell is this? Why even put it? Well, two reasons in my view. One, it's not really supposed to serve as a clip. One, it's a roll stopper, so it doesn't roll off your desk. But this is the logo of Majon or Moonman. So that's what it is. It's their logo. Okay, so that's the V1. It's a vacuum filler, and I just love the whole concept. But that's probably one of the few. Then of course this is one of my favorites. So spoiler alert, it's going to make my list for sure. This is the C5. Again, why this short? Because it's the way it is. It's their logo, and this is inspired by an Ancora pens. Believe it or not. Ancora pens, I have one in fact, is exactly like that. They have this 3 styled bands, okay? This pen writes beautifully, never leaks. The acrylic in this thing, in these Majon pens, is just fabulous. So we'll put that one ahead of the game right away. The other ones, I still have a choice to make. Then, of course, this is our recent P140, just a gem of a pen. I think this pen has kind of pushed Majon to another level with its nib, with its brass, interior system here. Just a very, very nice pen. One of my favorite pens in my collection, as it turns out, and very, very, very affordable. So, spoilers alert, it will make the list. That's it for Majon. Then we get into Pen BBS. This is the year 2020 pen. This is that famous pen that has this magnet. In other words, it has a magnet, and you're supposed to use the magnet to kind of push your system up and down. No, it doesn't work properly unless you lubricate the pen often. It has a gorgeous nib, but it's a little too finicky for me. As you can see, it's empty. Rarely use it, but it's still a beautiful pen in terms of my collection. Then I have the Pen BBS, one of the first 309. This thing's seen a lot in terms of use. I haven't used it lately, but the 309, it's a piston filler. This is the more recent 495. Again, a piston filler from Pen BBS. A longer pen, good mechanism, nice nib. But my favorite from Pen BBS, the choices is this 355. It's a little bigger than the 495, a little more classic finials. It is a vacuum filler. I believe it's a vacuum filler. They have all these systems, Pen BBS, that sometimes I get them wrong, but I think we're going to put this in the mix. Okay, so my 355 will make the cut. I have this what's called Fanmu. Probably have 2 or 3 pens from Fanmu way back when. Interesting pen. It has the mechanism here. You just kind of up and down, and you suck the ink up. Little dangerous, because if you push that, then you create a mess. But again, a good sealer, seals well. As a Schmidt nib, writes really well. But just an interesting addition. This is the Conklin with this old-styled filling system where you push down. Total disaster. These Conklin pens, let me tell you, and this is not the vintage. This is a modern version of the vintage, where you're supposed to turn this and allow this to kind of pump, and it just doesn't work. The nib is awful. I think I've never used it other than from first week when I bought it. So, but it's there. It's in my collection. Now we get into the Asvines. So first one is the V126 vacuum filler. Beautiful pen, nice acrylic, kind of smaller in size, cigar shaped. You got my P20, which has the finials and the section in titanium, along with the clip, piston filler. Very, very nice pen. We've seen this earlier. This is the V200, one of the many I have, but this one's kind of they've taken the titanium and played around with it, and as you can see, it's given some beautiful, beautiful colors. So that's the V200, and of course, the king of them all right now, anyway, is the V800. They're kind of a nice transition. Eh? The V800, again, just like the P140, it's kind of revolutionized the Chinese pen market with that number 8 size nib. I believe they're front runners in terms of the number 8 size nibs. Vacuum filler, just a beautiful pen, nice size, nice decorative center ring that I really, really like. The fill is really nice. The acrylic is just so sharp and solid and transparent, Very, very nice. Spoilers alert, it's made the list even before I mention it. That's it for Asvine. Next is Janao. I have this Janao 9019. This is that modified 9019 that has that very wet flex nib. It doesn't have a converter. It just they decided to put an eyedropper so that it could feed the ink quicker, because that nib is a real wet one. So that's the Jinao. The next one is the Opus 88. How can we forget Opus 88? This one, the acrylic is more of a matte acrylic, as opposed to what we see with Mahjong and Asvine. But still, one of the, when you think demonstrator, the Opus 88 certainly comes into play. Beautiful pen, very well constructed, Taiwanese, very nice. Speaking of Taiwanese, this is Navalor. I believe this is the original, I think they call it. It does come in clear. I chose the one a little bit of a yellow just to give it a little bit of a splash. I've never grown fond of these Navalor pens. Their nibs are not the greatest, but you got to give them credit. At least they appear to be in-house nibs. If I go with Navalor, I always choose their stub nibs. So that's the original. Then we get into, well, this one is a gold Ogaiva from Omas. Again, a very matte finish, but it is one of my favorite pens. One of my favorite fine nib pens. Beautiful pen. Just writes really, really nice. So Omas, spoilers alert, it's going to go into my into my selection. Then I have this. I don't know why I don't use this pen more often. I just love this pen. This is the Stipula Etruria Rainbow. One of the reasons these Stipula Etrurias do have a tendency to dry nib on you. But, a quick dip in the water and they start running again. The piston system is very difficult to wash out. It doesn't run as smoothly as some of the others, but it's an interesting looking pen. It has that rainbow cap, and you see this huge mechanism there, the Stipula silver clip and band that characterizes the Etruria. So it's a beautiful pen, one of my favorite pens. So those are my choices, or those are at least my collection. Now, what do we add? We've got 2 here, we've got 3, we got 4, we got 5. I think what we'll do is we're going to add my Etruria to make it 6. I'm going to add this V200 to the mix. What else have I got here that I want to add? You know what? Let's give Navalor a chance. I never do. It gives me a chance to maybe change my mind. What do we got? We got 3, we got 6, we got 7, we got 8. You know what? This huge wet gusher is going to be fun to play around with. We're going to test those mats later on. So that's 6. That makes it 9. What do we got? Oh, why don't I show you how the C1 writes? So we'll add this, so that makes it 10. And then we'll add a pencil and a pen, a ballpoint, and I think we're all set. We're going to add this to my weapons for next week, and maybe I'll add in a pencil. I've got some stuff to do with drawings of construction plans and all that next week in one of my litigation files, and I know I need a pencil, so we're going to add a pencil to this. I'll choose one and I'll show you the choice I've made once we set up to do some writing. So there we have it. We're going to fill up a nice case and we'll be right back. Okay, so we're back. We're going to do some writing now. Two mentions. One, I forgot to mention this Mahjong C4, but because we already have the C5, I'm going to choose the C4. I'm exclude the C4, I should say, since I have the C5, but I did want to mention that I do have the C5. This is another one of my favorite, again with that short logo clip, if you will. Okay, so we'll put that aside. As far as the monster is concerned, we're going to do some writing with it where we're not going to include it. That slippery section, I know, will turn me off at work. I'm not going to have the patience for it. This pen, unfortunately, has become a favorite of mine at home, when I want to play around with my pens, as opposed to when I need a functional working pen at the office. It's really too bad, but it's just too slippery for me. I'm just waiting for them to come out with, I know they come out with the titanium. I don't know if that's any better. I hesitate to spend another $500 to wait and see. Hopefully they'll come up with something with Ultim or maybe even acrylic section. I'm not sure, but I'm going to wait and see. It's not a priority of mine. So we're going to do some writing with it, but it's not going to be included in my pen case. Okay, so promised that we would also test these mats. I've got this notepad, Tomoe River. This is the number 9 machine, so it's not the Sanson, it's not the original number 7, it's the number 9 machine, but it is thick. So at the end, we're going to see if we can use this to do a kind of a step down and transition, allowing me to write right to the end. We're going to experiment with that as well. We're just going to, okay, here we go. Let's start with the thicker one first. Very thick, by the way. And we'll see how much it improves the handwriting, if any. It's certainly going to give me a guideline. It's certainly going to give me a line to write with, which is good. Okay, so let's start off with the monster, and we'll put it aside right away. Yeah, look how slippery that is. It's just unfortunate. I'm still struggling to... It takes me a little while. And then the writing is never stable. It's a funny feeling, the pad or the mat. Yeah, if you actually feel that you're writing on the mat. I'm not sure I prefer that over the actual paper, but let's keep going. Okay, so this is my C1, and it's got that osprey broad. It's supposed to be kind of a, you see the slit is all the way down, but unfortunately it doesn't flex very much. At least not with me, it doesn't. So this is not the Majon, but the Moon Man. And I believe this is the, let me make sure I get it right. I have my notes here. C1, yeah, there's C1, C2, C3, C4. It's unfortunate they don't put the number on their band. I'm not sure I like the matte feeling. Not at all. I feel like plasticky. Let me see the other one. If it's any softer. It's thinner, but I'm not sure it's softer. So that's the Moon Man C1 fountain pen. You see, I haven't written with this thing in ages, and you just pick it up and it writes. The next one is this C5. One of my favorites. This has a Moon Man medium, is it? Yeah, Moon Man medium. So, Majon C5 demo. A little bit softer than the thicker mat. And it's medium. It lifts the paper. I'm not sure it's really doing its job in terms of being, being an adhesive for the paper. You know what? I'm not sure I really enjoy the writing experience. If you like feedback, almost like writing on a chalkboard. Okay, what's the next one? Let's do a juicier nib, which is this P140. So this is the Majon This is the number 8 nib. I mean, you do have the guidelines at the bottom, so you can, follow that. That's for sure. But I'm really not sure I like the writing experience. Let's test the last one, which is this plastic, much thinner, and it's kind of a plasticky as opposed to a rubbery feel. Okay, here we got the Pen BBS. What I like about this Pen BBS is this nib. I don't know if you can see it. You see the tip? It's just got that little bit of a Waverly type nib. I washed it out because it was all crusty, and I've put in that Van Diemen's Aurora Australis. So this is the Pen BBS 355. It's got a fine nib. Yeah, pretty similar feeling in terms of the mat. Not convinced that I like the writing experience. But if you do like to hear that scribing sound, then it's a winner. I'm going to put that aside. Let me just redo this just to feel. Yeah, there's no comparison, folks, in terms of the writing experience without the mat. You know what? I would go for like a paper. I have these paper guides which don't really affect much the writing experience. If you need the line, that's, I think, what I would do. Next, well, we've seen this one, but we're going to write with it again. I just love the color combination. So this is the Asvine V200, and it's got the Asvine. This medium nib is just perfect. No need to spend more money to get a Bach nib. I think it's worse, the Bach nib. Worse. It's not the better choice, and it's more expensive because I know they come in both. If you want the Bach, the only advantage to having the Bach section and the Bach nib would be if you want to replace the nib. Maybe the Bach section can accommodate more replacement nibs, and even that I'm not sure I'm convinced. Now you see, I having difficulty here. Now let's just see if this kind of works to work as a, oh yeah, oh yes, well, except I don't want to, yeah, well, I'm glad I didn't spend the $10 for nothing. Yes, it does serve a purpose, folks. Okay, so here we go. That's that. Beautiful combination, by the way. The Van Diemen's Aurora Australis with this pen. Very nice. Okay, next, what have we got? Well, just a magic pen. This is the Asvine V800 that my friend Hemingway Jones has finally discovered. It's got a number 8 steel 1.1. Is it 1.1? No, this is the medium. Wow, that writes really nice. Well, I can tell you that it's got some line variation there. That's why I thought it was my stub. Just a beautiful pen to write with. Wow. It's very difficult, folks, for me to these days to stay away from the Asvine, the P140, the Wing Sung 630. I come downstairs to my studio to do some journaling, and I have all these beautiful gold nib pens, Italian pens with all kinds of gorgeous acrylic, cost thousands of dollars when I totaled them all up. And then I just open the drawers and I say, you know what? I want to write with this one. $50, $60. So just goes to show you. Okay, this is that Gusher. I love this pen. I know people say, it's not worth the price. Maybe it wasn't, because I spent like over $100 for this thing. But it's just so juicy. It's fun to write with. Jinhao 9019 with the Flex hack, I guess I could call it. It's a number 8 size nib. So this is probably the only number 8 size flex nib that I have. And how many are there on the market? I would say to you, there's probably very few that I know of. And I think if you know how to play around with this flex nib, you can have a lot of fun with it. Yes, it gushes some ink, but man, is it a lot of fun to write with. And now that I think about it, I don't think I mentioned at the time I reviewed this pen, it's probably the only number 8 flex nib that's out there. Maybe Santini makes number 8 flexi nibs, I'm not sure. But let me tell you, beautiful. Okay, my much maligned Narwhal pen, have a few. Let's see if it writes. It's got a stub. You know what, folks? It's writing really nice. Sometimes you have to eat your words, as they say, because you overly criticize a pen or a nib. I mean, it's not perfectly constant, you see here. Here. So, but that could be me as well. But it's not, there you go, you see. It's not perfect. But, I mean, now I'm being picky. I'm trying to find what's wrong with it to justify my conclusion. But it's much better than I was expecting in terms of writing experience. So there you go. That's the Narwhal stub. One of my favorite fine nibs on this pen, this is the Gaiva Omas. By the way, done by the new Omas, the same people who own Narwhal. And I got to tell you, it's fine with me, and it does feel like an Omas pen. Omas Gaiva Demo 14 karat fine nib. This, along with the Pen BS, will be my fine nib contribution to the weekly weapons, because I always need a fine nib to enter smaller writing on my agenda. So that's good. Oh, I was looking forward to this one. I'm not attracted to it when I have to make a choice. Again, when I come down to my studio and do some journaling, it's not a pen that I gravitate to, but yet it's one of my favorite pens. So I just don't know why. I just don't go, it's not go-to, it's a weird feeling. Let me just use my mat. So this is the, well, maybe that's why. You see, it kind of dries up on you. Stipula etruria. Rainbow. It's got that kind of a 0.09 stub from stipula that I highly recommend. Yeah, these mats are nice for this. At least I get to write almost to the end. It does interfere a little bit there, but beautiful stub. But dries up. Don't know why. You know, maybe it's coming out of here. That little bit of air, but there is a section there that's supposed to, you know, seal it properly, and it just doesn't seal. It's just, I got a feeling this has got something to do with it, and air gets in there, and yeah, there you have it. Okay, what else we got? Well, I've got my first pocket rollerball from, again, what's the name of this? Top P Midnight. Yeah, it's a fine. It's a 0.05, not my favorite rollerball, but it is smooth. Again, this could serve a purpose at work. And for my pencil, you know, I got all these mechanical pencil. Why not go to the master, which is the Montblanc, I guess the 146 pencil. Wow. By the way, it's got a it's got a 0.09 lead. Wow, is that smooth? You can't even hardly hear it. It is a nice feel. There you have it. It's a gift from my wife. So there you have it. Okay, so those are my currently inked, oh, not my currently inked, my weapons for next week. I think I'm going to have fun with these. Yeah, and I'll let you know if there's anything peculiar from any of these next week in my recap. I hope you enjoyed that. The demonstrator week, folks, the demonstrator week. Stay tuned, next segment. Okay, so for this last segment, what have we got for you, which is YouTube review? First of all, three videos that I proposed for you. The first one, as I mentioned, that Gravitas or the Pen Venture video where Ben Walsh is being interviewed and they're both discussing future projects. I really recommend it. There's some very exciting stuff there, and I wish them all the best. Wish them all the best. Second video I recommend is Goulet Pens. Has come out with a video where they review, or where he reviews, he calls it the ultimate guide to pen materials, all kinds of materials. So especially for the beginners or people who are interested in seeing what kind of materials are being used to make pens these days. Well, it's a 2026 video. It's up to date. He's always very good. He's got lots of experience. He's got lots of pens to play with. So, Mr. Goulet there is done a good job. Recommend it. Next is Inkwell Studio, one of my favorite reviewers. Very interesting person. Interesting reviews. He compares the P140, the Majon P140, to the Asvine V800. I think he's missed one, which is the Wingsung 630 with that new nib. But having said that, he weighs in on those two number 8 steel nibs. So again, like I mentioned, those number 8 steel nibs have made a splash. In fact, I was one of the first to publish a video, and I welcome you to review it, where I pronounce myself and say these number 8 steel nibs are, I think, a new trend. And I did a video reviewing all of the ones that I had in my collection, explained why I think it's a new good trend. And now we've got Yowo number 8 nibs coming out. I'm really looking forward to that. Again, If you guys know where I can buy the nib or any pens with that nib, please write to me. Please send me a link or a name or something, and I can assure you that pen will be on my desk in no time so that I can show you guys what it's all about and so that I can make up my own mind. Is it worth that $139? I hope Yowo is not going to, steal money from us, because we still have Asvine, and we still have Mahjong, and we still have Wingsung, and we still have Hongdian that have number 8 steel nibs, and they're not nearly that price, maybe 1/10 of that price. So hopefully Yowo will not be messing it all up, as they say, and make a steel nib that's as expensive as a gold nib. But we shall see. We shall see. So there you have it in terms of YouTube reviews. My own videos. Well, 2 pens for you. I'm kind of getting into this 2 pen per week. Not sure I can keep that up, but to the extent that I can, I will do it. Of course, you've got my. I reviewed, the Diplomat Nexus, and I've also reviewed a review there for the new Rhodia script writing instruments. I've got the pencil, I've got that ballpoint, and I've got the fountain pen. So take a look at that video as well. What's coming up, I'm not quite sure, but here's a choice. Any of these might make it next week. I still haven't quite decided whether I'm going to go with perhaps I'm going to go with the review the Hongdian pocket pens, do a kind of a comparison, especially with that new titanium M2 that they just come out. We shall see. We shall see. Maybe publish 2 videos. It all depends. It all depends on my time and how the videos are doing. I always get the feeling that one video is going to steal views from the other one. I'm not sure that's scientifically accurate, but also I got to be careful. I don't think I can keep this up 3 videos a week, but if I can, I will. Okay, and I you guys, I'm going to spoil you, and then you get used to it, and then when I don't deliver, you'll be disappointed, and I don't want that to happen. So there you have it, another weekly recap, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have not subscribed, it takes hours to do a video like this, and lots of money to feed the content. Never mind the money; it takes a lot of time, and and there's nothing more than views, and there's nothing more than subscriptions, which encourage you, and most of all comments, which encourage you to do this and continue to do this. And have no illusions, folks. I keep repeating, this is good for me and is good for you. So until it remains therapy for me, it will be therapy for you. The moment it stops being therapy for me, then that will spell the end. But we're not there yet. Far from it. Look at this week. I enjoy doing this. It's now, Friday morning. It's 9 o'clock. I've finished my 4 or 5 hour videotaping. We'll do the editing a little bit later on. I'm going to start my Friday, my last day, get some work in, and you know what? Have a great weekend with my pens, my family. What better? And hopefully the weather will turn on us. Maybe not, but we shall see. So please subscribe and comment. Thank you. Have a great week. Enjoy your writing instruments. Bye now.